Hello everyone, this is Wrestling Fan Talk here. Now today I wanted to do a bit of a rewind and I wanted to talk about WrestleMania 23. More specifically, the build-up between Batista versus The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now the build-up of this match started at Royal Rumble 2007, where Batista would defend his world title against Mr. Kennedy. Later on that night during the Royal Rumble, Undertaker would come out last, number 30, where he would finally face off against Shawn Michaels, throwing him over the top rope, thus earning a shot at whichever world title he wanted to compete for at WrestleMania 23. WrestleMania that year was held in Detroit, in Ford Field, to be more specific, the home of the Detroit Lions. Now, the next night on Raw, John Cena and Shawn Michaels would team up, winning the tag team championships from Rated RKO, and the show would end with The Undertaker's music hitting and him showing up on stage to a shocked and dismayed John Cena. Now, later on that week, he would also show up on ECW, The Undertaker would, confronting Bobby Lashley. Now, something interesting happened. On the SmackDown that week, that Friday, there would be an in-ring segment with John Cena and Batista discussing who The Undertaker would choose. The Undertaker came out, but quickly Shawn Michaels came out, and he got in Undertaker's face and said, "Did we really decide anything? Do we really decide who the better man was?" Shawn Michaels wanted another crack at The Undertaker. He wanted a crack to get a world title shot. He wanted The Undertaker's stipulation. But a curveball was thrown. Mr. McMahon came out. And instead, and this is before Undertaker made his choice, instead, he made a tag team match, which I think is a great tag team match, by the way, No Way Out 2007. He made a match for No Way Out 2007, which was held in Staples Center in Los Angeles. Shawn Michaels and John Cena versus Batista and The Undertaker. Again, this was very interesting because we didn't know who Undertaker was going to choose yet. Although as fans, we probably had a pretty good idea. So Raw would follow the following Monday. All three champions at the time, John Cena, the WWE champion, Bobby Lashley, the ECW champion, and Batista, the World Heavyweight champion, would appear on Raw in the ring. The Undertaker would come out and he would stare each one of them down, one at a time. John Cena first, Bobby Lashley second, then Batista. And as he was about to go away from Batista, he slashed his throat and he peeled those eyes back and faced off against Batista, letting him know he would be the one that Undertaker would choose to face at WrestleMania 23. Now, this is when Shawn Michaels would come out, Rated RKO would come out, and Mr. McMahon would decide who would face John Cena at WrestleMania 23 via a triple threat match, with Edge against Randy Orton versus Shawn Michaels. The winner of that would face John Cena. Shawn Michaels won that match. But getting back to Undertaker and Batista, when they faced off in the ring, Undertaker gave Batista a chokeslam when everyone had left. Now this is important because it would come back to haunt us later. So finally we have a couple weeks where Undertaker and Batista would sort of get the best of Shawn Michaels and John Cena. There would be an 8-man tag between Undertaker, Batista, Shawn Michaels, John Cena versus Mr. Kennedy, MVP, and Rated RKO. The good guys won. Undertaker, Batista, Shawn, and John Cena won. But there was a bit of a misunderstanding and Undertaker attacked Shawn Michaels. John Cena would attempt to defend his tag team partner because they were tag team champions at the time. But unfortunately for John Cena and Shawn Michaels, Undertaker and Batista would get the best of them that night on Raw. Now fast forward a few days on Friday Night SmackDown and the opposite would happen. Shawn Michaels and John Cena would come out, and they would get the best of Batista and The Undertaker. So we go into No Way Out 2007 at Staples Center, and we have the match between Undertaker and Batista versus Shawn Michaels and John Cena. Great back and forth match, high intensity, big energy. I would recommend going back and watching this. It's a great match to go rewatch just for a good tag team match. But unfortunately for Undertaker, Batista would betray his partner that night and hit him with a spine buster, thus allowing John Cena and Shawn Michaels to get the win. Now, going forward on SmackDown, you would have Batista and The Undertaker sort of facing off against Finlay and King Booker and going back and forth in a little mini feud between the two good guys and two bad guys of SmackDown, the two heels and the two faces, obviously, going against each other, going into WrestleMania. It was sort of filler, if you would, because you knew what the big match would be, but they had to kill some time during that time. There was still a few weeks to go before WrestleMania happened. Now, Undertaker has said on his podcast that the day of WrestleMania 23, he wasn't necessarily in the greatest mood because he didn't know if Batista truly understood his role in the company. He was worried, The Undertaker was, about how the match was going to go off. But it was a great match. They had a hard-hitting match back and forth at WrestleMania 23, and eventually Undertaker would get the win against Batista and hold up that World Heavyweight Championship in what is considered a very good match between those two. Very good match. I would recommend going back and watching it. I always thought that Shawn versus John Cena was better, in my opinion, but it's a matter of personal taste when you go back and watch that night. But that was the WrestleMania 23 bill between Undertaker and Batista. This is Wrestling Fan Talk. That's all for this one. Thanks, guys.